following presentation is for educational purposes only. Jason Ward and Rick Reynolds are not trained medical or psychological professionals. Their services are meant to be complementary to traditional care and are not intended as a substitute. They do not diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any condition or disease. Always consult your doctor or mental health professional before applying any advice or opinions expressed during this presentation. Do not discontinue use of medications unless specifically advised by the doctor who prescribed them. And welcome to Revealing and Healing. I'm Rick Reynolds, and I'm here in Sedona with medical intuitive Jason Ward, and it's so great to see so many familiar names on the call this evening. Wow. Now, let's really get a look at who's here tonight. If you've ever had a session with me, hit the number 1 on your phone, just trying to see how many of my clients are here. And if you've ever had a session with Jason, hit the number 2 on your phone. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we've got people here that have worked with both of us. Oh, I am so honored to have you all here on the call. You know, it's a treat to have a chance to introduce you to a medical intuitive who's not just any medical intuitive, but the best medical intuitive I've ever worked with. It's going to be a really exciting call. You know, the purpose of this call is really to introduce you to our work and to share how our work combines to create healing and transformation in a way neither of us can really do alone. So this is about a new collaboration, and this call is scheduled to end at the top of the hour, but we're going to stick around as long as we need to so that everybody gets what they need from this call. But before the top of the hour, we'll make a special offer on our combined services as a way to save you hundreds of dollars. So before I bring Jason on, I want to take a moment here and thank a few key people for making this all possible tonight. First off, I want to thank my partner Mike for his support in putting all of this together. And I want to thank Jason's wife Nicole for her vision and enthusiasm for teaming us up together to create something very special here. And most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be here with us tonight and to support us as we launch this new journey together. And of course, I want to thank Jason. As many of you know, he is a world-renowned medical intuitive. He's been on the Oprah Winfrey Network and worked with Dr. Phil. But long before that, I knew him as the man that looked into my mother's body and revealed what she needed to see in order to get healthy. I've since sent many of you off to work with him, including my partner Mike. And Jason, welcome to this call, and thank you for all you're doing for people out there by continuing to share your gift.
Absolutely. This is fantastic, and thank you for having me. This is absolutely wonderful.
So, Jason, why don't you share a little bit about who you are, how you came to do this, and what it is that you do?
Okay, well, obviously I'm a medical intuitive, but I like to call my process more along the lines of body scanning. So if we could envision seeing like a holographic image, I kind of reference back to the movies where R2-D2 pulled up Princess Leia there. That's similar to how I see the body. So I'm able to see organs, blood cells, brain tissue. I'm able to really go in and out of the body. And my main purpose is obviously find root causes. But more specifically is that addressing keys that could be preventative issues, I feel, is extremely important as well. Playing the hindsight game and looking back and going, man, if I only knew how to prevent the specific ailment that came upon me, sometimes is some of the best preventive medicine we can do for ourselves. So I started practicing my medical intuitive gift at the age of 13 and have really been just blessed to have worked with so many great people and have helped those that, really needed to find let's say, the alternative insight to certain health issues. So I love what I do. I'm very grateful for my gift, and I'm extremely grateful for those that take the time to work with me. So fantastic experience, and I definitely look forward to tonight.
Yes, and that hopefully some of you on the call will get a chance to actually experience firsthand what Jason does. And, once he reveals what's going on in the body, that's kind of where my work picks up. And I help people shift the core beliefs that create the stress, the sadness, the negativity, and ultimately lead to illness and disease in the body. In 2003, I created my own technique for shifting beliefs by using bilateral stimulation. That's stimulating both sides of the brain, bringing them both into balance. And my training is in hypnotherapy, emotional freedom techniques, Reiki, life coaching. But my own technique is kind of a combination of all that, plus my own intuitive gifts to create something more powerful than any one of those things independently. And before doing this work, I spent 18 years in television news. I was a reporter, a producer, eventually ran the news operations for the CBS affiliate in Sacramento. It was on a trip to Sedona back in 2001 that I really figured out that television news was no longer my passion, and that I needed to shift and change my life to be helping people. And that's what eventually led to hypnotherapy and led to this work and led to helping others. But it's one thing to talk about what you do. It's often much more powerful to have those you've worked with share their experience. So I'm just going to ask right now if any of Jason's clients who are on the call tonight might be willing to share what their experience with him has been. And if you're willing to talk just a little bit about what it's like to have a session with Jason, hit the number 1 on your phone, and I'll go ahead and call on you. And it's safe. Okay. Well, we're going to start off with someone who's experienced both of us, which is wonderful. We've got people on the call that have already had experiences with both of us. So let's start with Janice from Sacramento. And Janice, if you'd be willing to share a little bit about what your experience has been like with Jason, that'd be wonderful.
Hi, Rick. Well, I was just amazed that, he asked me very few questions, just why was I calling, but nothing. He didn't even know my age, didn't even know anything about me. I've had several calls with him, and he, for 2.5 hours, without ever saying anything that was not true. And, lots of times I don't know exactly whether it's true or not, but for one thing, I had a problem with my left arm, and I just told him that my left was bothering me. What did he see? And he said I'd torn ligaments in the forearm leading up to the elbow, and that's exactly where I was having my pain. After I got off the call, I remembered exactly when that had happened and when I'd heard some pops in that arm, which I hadn't really connected with the. And he told me, and he doesn't back down on things. Other seers, a few others I've seen, you say something you don't think is true, and then they sort of back down. But he told me my vitamin D level was not high enough, and I said, well, I don't think that's true. I had my last, and it was good. And he said, well, your body says it needs more D. And then I remembered that actually I had backed off on my D taking, and that my next test a few weeks later did show that I had a low level of D. So, I don't have serious problems, but I was afraid I had a tumor somewhere. I was really worried about some pain I had, and he says, I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking, and I see nothing. He says, and I didn't want to really have a CAT scan, and he told me, he says, you don't have to have a CAT scan. He says, there's nothing there. It's a very definite statement, but I still was worried since I was going to Egypt, so I went ahead and had the CAT scan, and there was nothing there. I'm very
Oh,
Wow.
well, Janice, thank you so much for sharing. That is absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to give your experience about that. That's great.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive. And Janice, we've worked together a lot. Is there anything that you'd like to share about the work
Well,
that
my
we've done?
main thing that was just so fabulous with you was that I had claustrophobia, which was really affecting my life. I wasn't comfortable on a plane. I wasn't comfortable in an elevator. And it was only 1 or 2 sessions, and it was gone. And it's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It's just gone.
It's gone and it stayed gone. Oh, thank you so much, Janice. I so appreciate your being willing to share with us tonight. Is there anybody else that would like to share their experience? If so, hit the number 1 on your phone and we'll open your mic. And if not, that's fine. Absolutely fine too. All right. Well, it appears that we've got some shy people.
No worries. Well, when you do deal with, whether specific health issues or emotional issues and things, that's a very private space, and I believe that is definitely something either you like to share with others or you don't, and that is absolutely understandable.
Exactly. So let's talk just a little bit before we go to an. Oh, I've got another person who's got their hands up. So let me go ahead and open up their mic. Regina, hello and welcome to the call.
Hi, Rick. Nice to meet you, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to this call. I just wanted to, put in a plug for Rick because I've known him in a variety of settings. I saw him first as a hypnotherapist, and he helped me work with what appeared to be what was appearing as a skin issue, and just completely, down the rabbit hole. Interesting journey. Ended up, I think, revealing some past life stuff, and just really helped me make the shift because I was in kind of a vicious cycle with the skin thing, like an allergic response, and I believe that the work that he did helped me get my balance back in terms of like my immune system and just homeostasis in my body. So I really appreciate that work. And then I've worked with him in a variety of settings, including some business settings, and I just find him to be extremely intuitive and caring and just a wonderful practitioner. I would highly recommend to anyone.
Aw, thank you so much, Regina, and it's been an honor to have played a role in your healing and to watch you grow as a person. And you are an amazing woman, and I hope you know that. And that's what feels really good is when you know that your clients know how amazing they are, because that's really the work that we're doing. And I know that you had contacted me before the call and had expressed an interest if we were taking volunteers to have Jason take a look at you. And since you were willing to share, I'm going to check in and see if you're still willing. And so everyone on the call knows that, of course, that we can't guarantee confidentiality. We've got all these people listening to the call, and Jason's gift works best when he doesn't edit or censor. So if you're open to having him scan you, and know that whatever he sees, he is going to share. Would you be comfortable with that, Regina? Regina? Okay, that maybe we've lost Regina.
Hello? Can you hear me?
There you are. Yeah. Hear you now. So
Yeah,
would you be comfortable with that?
I think you know the answer is yes, and you're just asking me for the benefit of callers.
Yes.
That I'm an extremely candid person, so absolutely.
Well, fantastic, Regina. Well, what it does is it takes me about 2 seconds to allow me to kind of dial your body's phone number. Okay, that's kind of the best way I like to see it. I like to dig around just kind of briefly on my own first, and then we get started. And of course, I have a little bit of censor here, so I mean, if there's something that I think is maybe too personal or something above and beyond, then I would happily get in touch with you after the fact and share that with you. But if you don't mind, give me 2 seconds here. Let me get you dialed up, and we'll get rocking and rolling, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, Regina, I got you pulled up here. Like I said, let me just kind of get a general little picture here of some things. Okay. Okay, let's kind of dig here a little bit. I'm actually going to kind of start in our bloodstream here just at the first, then we're going to move to just a couple little other places. The first area of our bloodstream is that it does seem like we're having a little bit of a challenge as far as the iron count, as far as the iron level kind of being, let's say, consumed or actually kind of commingled with our protein. And that's when I kind of dig through the bloodstream here, trying to pick apart where our protein counts are, where our magnesium, calcium, all of our vitamins and so forth. And it's that protein that gives me a little bit of an inclination here that when I see the full count of the blood, it seems like we've got a little bit of a gap of how the body absorbs all of our vitamins and minerals into that bloodstream. And that protein is one that I would like to kind of dig on just a little bit. Do we eat 3 meals of protein a day? How are you getting your protein in, Regina?
Well, for the last year, I've been a vegetarian. So I'm not right. So it's a little bit of a challenge for vegetarians, I think, for most of us.
Absolutely. So are we doing like a protein shake or almonds? Like,
Yep.
What is our source of protein?
Yep. So I do drink protein shakes almost every morning for breakfast. So I know that I have that one meal a day that I'm getting really good protein. And then I'm eating vegetables, and I'm also eating like protein from tofu and seitan, and I don't know, I'm trying to think of a category that falls in, but so like protein substitutes, or they're not protein substitutes, meat substitutes.
Okay, are you a big kale eater?
I like kale. I don't eat it that often. I have it in my
Okay.
refrigerator right now, but I don't eat it that often.
Well, if I could just share one suggestion with you. When I look at how your bloodstream does carry proteins, and of course it's crucial to make sure that the iron gets kind of absorbed and utilized, kale to me seems like a real positive protein that I would put into your system. Okay, and knowing that you're a vegetarian, that's absolutely fantastic, but we still have to meet those requirements for those protein needs. So kale would be one I think is fantastic. And then my second point here is when I was mentioning how the body absorbs the vitamins and minerals, are you taking like an omega-3 in the mornings before your shakes, the vessel that actually carries that into your system?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I would strongly suggest that one as well, okay, because I believe your bloodstream would be 3 times as enriched if we were to able to actually get kind of that carrier, or let's say the taxi cab that delivers the protein from the shakes that you do drink. So taking an omega-3 first thing in the day, I think would be a fantastic way to kind of bump up those protein levels. Okay. Now, in the second stream of things here, the other thing I noticed going down into the lower intestine is where the majority of our immune system is held. Okay, immune system looks great except for when I get to the vitamin E. E is an elephant. Okay, following that from the immune system into the bloodstream is really where I'm also seeing a bit of a deficiency there too. Okay, so maybe bumping up our vitamin E's would be probably another suggestion that I would want to kind of send your way as well. Now, the interesting part here is, and a lot of the clients that have worked with me know that I'm a big one on hydration. Okay, the kidneys show me where we're getting a lot of water in through there, but what gets me here a little bit is that going up to our penile and our pituitary gland in the brain shows me where it's kicking off a little bit of signs of how, even though the kidneys show me we're drinking a ton of water, I just don't feel like we're absorbing all the water that we're getting in there. Okay, and it makes me do kind of focus here a little bit on the liver, which I do pick up on, does tend to have a little bit of an acidic side to it, which that's pretty much of a common theme with a lot of those that I work with. But when the liver does run a little bit on that acidic side, which generally kind of starts in the bile of the stomach, then that does kind of knock off a little bit of the water that we intake. So bringing up a little bit of alkalinity is always kind of a great idea. You know, like adding lemons into water or over our salad or however, I think, you know, a creative way to kind of bring in that alkalinity without having to really focus on drinking alkaline waters would be kind of a great way to boost up the pituitary and pineal gland and get a little bit of that hydration to stick throughout the day there. Do you know roughly kind of what amount of water you drink in through your day?
You know, some days less than others, but I'm usually getting pretty close to 8 glasses of water a day, 6 to 8 glasses of water a day.
Okay, and are you sticking lemon in your water?
I'm not.
Okay, you make that one little shift, that would just be an absolute little fine-tuned adjustment that you could do that I feel would make a pretty big difference with as far as how I see the body absorb all of the water that we take in there.
Okay.
So that would be a pretty good little suggestion there. Now, going through a little bit of our cardiovascular here, just a little bit. And what seems to me here is that on the lower left leg there, a little bit above that left knee, is where I do see a tiny little bit of plaque buildup, okay, in some of our vascular system. Now, of course, like I spoke before, prevention is one of the biggest things that I love to try to shoot for and go after, okay? So when I do see a little bit of that plaque buildup start to build up in an area, that's kind of a nice time to say, hey, that's a perfect window to kind of knock that out of the picture and don't let that become a problem down the road. So garlic is a great organic, natural way to go in there and kind of eat up plaque there a little bit. But also, that's kind of another thing that brings me back to that vitamin E, is I really feel like the vitamin E is kind of what keeps everybody clean, kind of scuffs the lining of our vascular system and our veins and arteries and so forth. And something like a grapeseed extract, I think, would be a fantastic addition into your system. It's an amazing vitamin E, a fantastic antioxidant. And one of the best qualities about the grapeseed extract is that it really is kind of like a scrubbing or a spring cleaning of our cardiovascular system. So that would probably be another one that I would suggest throwing in your direction. I personally believe everybody should be on a grapeseed extract. Kind of one of those daily multivitamin guys we should be taking on a regular basis there. So left leg here, just going to make sure the heart flaps open and close quite easily. The blood filled up in the arteries, which is fantastic. And then, okay, one more little area here I'd like to kind of pick up on or share with you here. We have the lower valve and the upper valve of our heart, okay? The lower valve is what takes in oxygen into our system, and the upper valve is what deoxygenizes the blood through our system. And that lower valve generally gets its oxygen intake, of course, from our lungs or through kind of the breathing that we do. And there seemed to be a little bit of a discrepancy there. So I don't know if we're a shallow breather, or if we sleep underneath a draft at night or have a fan or something in the room, but there's some part of our days here where that oxygen intake's getting cut down just a little bit. And that would definitely be something interesting to kind of depict or to find out where that little intrusion is happening. Do you ever find yourself shallow breathing, Regina, like working on a laptop or anything where you say, wow, I'm taking a little bit shorter breaths here?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I'm just generally a shallow breather where I have to consciously make myself breathe more deeply. And at night, lately I've been waking up with some mild headaches in the morning, and I'm wondering if I'm just not breathing very well at night, if I'm, sleeping in a way. I do, and I am running a ceiling fan at night, right above my head. I didn't know that would make a difference.
Yeah, it definitely would. And the whole getting the headaches in the morning, that is an absolute big old flag waving to me, saying that that's definitely where our oxygen's taken a little bit of a drop into our bloodstream. So when we go to bed at night, I always like to envision that as we're plugging our bodies into the wall. Okay, we recharge, we rebuild, we replenish fluids. All these magical things happen with our neurotransmitters that get refilled up and so forth. But that breathing section is extremely, extremely important for the nighttime. So maybe finding an alternative fan source or being able to sleep without that draft really kind of going on you directly would make a big difference. And then secondly, I think breathing exercises are absolutely kind of a fantastic way to kind of improve the quality of the oxygen in our system. And I did go to Canada years ago to become a certified color therapist. I think this would be an absolute excellent way to kind of add a little bit of color therapy, maybe with a breathing exercise, and really kind of top that off. And I wouldn't be surprised at all that even if doing this, even if we had a fan over us, if we wouldn't wake up without any headaches, and our breathing would improve throughout the day. And it's as simple as finding more of a baby blue color. It can be a T-shirt, a keychain, a drinking glass, a postcard. It doesn't have to be anything specific. But the trick is we stare at this color for about 15, 20 seconds, and we close our eyes, and we envision that color in our mind for another 15 to 20 seconds. Now, as soon as you're done with visualizing that color, that's when we'll take about 2 or 3 minutes of doing just a simple breathing exercise. Very long, slow, concentrated breath in and concentrated breathing out. And that's kind of getting the good habit back into the lungs. Sometimes the body gets to form bad habits, and trying to teach or instill new habits can be a little bit of a treat or a trick. But if we kind of do this on, let's say, a daily basis, it builds the repetition, it builds the good habit, and then the lungs will naturally adapt to expanding more, taking more oxygen in, to where you, at some point here, probably in, I would say, 10 to 14 days, where you don't really have to do the breathing exercises or the color therapy. The body will just naturally kind of pick up the pace along there with you.
Cool.
So that would be kind of a few little easy suggestions that one could do. Now, is there a specific area here? Just because, with time and so forth, and usually my process goes about 2.5 hours, Regina, and I apologize. I'm just trying to pick up on a few little things that stick out to me here that wanted to touch up on. But is there anything specific that you may be curious about, even if you wanted to make it more of a general kind of area that maybe you wanted me to take a peek into?
Sure. 2 areas, actually. One is that I'm really kind of, like Janice mentioned, being a little bit paranoid about, and that is my breast tissue. Sometimes I feel, I don't know, sort of pain in there, and I can't tell if it's muscular or if I've got, like, my fear, of course, is the start of breast cancer or something.
Okay.
So that would probably be the biggest thing.
Okay, absolutely. If you'd like, I can touch up on that, and then you can ask me your second question, or you can go ahead and say both of them out there, and I'll get them done one after another.
Great. And the second thing is my hands. I've been having symptoms of trigger finger and kind of arthritis in the joints of my hands. And I look at my hands, I see a whiteness, like the blood flow isn't proper. Like the blood flow is being impeded in the joints of my fingers.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's start with the breast tissue, okay, because I know it's kind of a concern, and sometimes our minds will run wild with us a little bit, and oh my gosh, what could it possibly be? And then we start to kind of put ourselves in this scared state of it could be breast cancer, it could be, a torn muscle that's going to require surgery. And let me kind of dig in there for a second, because what I truly believe what you're feeling has more to do with your lymphatic system, okay? Our lymphatic system is just as big, if not bigger, some would debate me on this one, than our vascular system, okay? The lymphatic system goes throughout the body, and especially through breast tissue. And one of our main, let's say, lymphatic hubs is where the armpits are located, okay? And mostly in women, not so much in men, they do kind of sprout out in their own little rooting system in through the breast tissue, okay? So when I dig around, let's say, the fat tissue with the bulk of the fat in there, I don't really see anything that to me symbolizes any type of a cancerous stage or a water cyst or a hard cyst that would be forming whatsoever. But I do notice, okay, and especially for some reason I see it a little bit more on the left side than I do the right side, of where that lymphatic system does start to kind of clog up on itself, or it starts to get into a little bit of a traffic jam. When that happens, our little nerve endings that surrounds that kind of pulls off a little trigger to us, and it kind of pulls the fire alarms. And it says, hey, Regina, there's something here that doesn't quite seem right. We're going to get your attention about it. Mm-hmm. So one of the best things that I would probably suggest first and foremost is doing what I like to call is a little bit of like a lymphatic flush or a lymphatic massage that we do ourselves. Okay, there's many different practitioners and lymphatic massage folks out there that are absolutely fantastic, but a lot of times that's kind of something that we can actually kind of do ourselves and kind of help free up that lymphatic just a little bit. Now, one of the biggest things that I've had success with is getting the body temperature raised just a little bit. So generally bath time or during the shower, where we've got that hot water to help raise the body temp up a little bit, is truly an ideal time, okay? And one of the most important things to know about the lymphatic system is you always want to go in the direction of the heart, because that's the flow of your lymphatic system, okay? So if we're working against that flow, all we're going to do is kind of back things up and put things in more of a standstill position. So by taking just your pointer finger and your middle finger and taking a straight kind of a line contact, say from the pit of the armpit, and going down, let's say the inside of our side, the soft side tissue there to the middle of our rib cage would be one direction. And then the second direction would be going from that center armpit down through the inside soft part of our arm to the very top of the inside of our elbow. Now, many different areas of the lymphatic system, but these would be both sides of the armpits there and both sides of the body is really where I would want you to focus on, because that's where I see a lot more of the sluggish, more of this kind of backup happening. Now, as far as the lymphatic flush, okay, this is something I'm going to kind of backstep here a little bit. The sodium count in your bloodstream did seem a little bit on the low side to me, okay? So I don't know if it's just something you're very aware of and you monitor how much sodium that you get into your system or whatever, but getting that sodium content up to that perfect level is like walking a tightrope. Too much can be a bad thing, too little can be a bad thing. And the sodium and sea salt is my preference. I'm I'd like to share with everyone, I'm not a big fan of table salt whatsoever. That's what leads to heart issues and high blood pressure and retaining water and all those horrible little things. But sea salt truly is the one I would want to kind of refer direct to more. But by taking just a simple teaspoon of sea salt and mixing that in an 8-ounce glass of room temperature water and getting that down is a fantastic yet aggressive lymphatic flush that'll go in there, break everything open, and really kind of push it through your system. And doing that in conjunction with a self-lymphatic massage, that is just such a fantastic way to go about clearing things out. And it's not one of those daily routines that I suggest, because when you do start pushing all the gunk out of our lymphatic, gets pushed into the bloodstream, we can feel a little ill for a day or two. So what I would like to say is that maybe once a week, twice a week at the most, but always have at least 1 to 2 days in between those massages. And that little salt flush that I suggested, that's one that you just do one time, and that's all that you need to do. So as far as the breast tissue concern and so forth, I truly do believe it is the lymphatic system that you're picking up on, or that you're kind of noticing here. Okay, I don't see any cancer cell structures or anything else that would lead me to concern of it being a breast cancer. So did that all make kind of sense there a little bit? The instructions of everything.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Now let's get down to the fingers here. We were talking about the trigger finger and a bit of the discoloration in the hand. I absolutely agree 100%. This is definitely more of a blood flow cardiovascular issue. But more importantly, it really does draw me back to this loss of oxygen. Okay, so if we can get more oxygen into the bloodstream, I truly believe, Regina, you're going to notice the color coming back into the hand. But then secondly, if we were to look at the tendons, like if we were to put our finger in our elbow and close our arm together and we're kind of pinching our finger in between that elbow, it's the second strand of tendons from the inside of the body going out to the out that I see look tighter than the rest of your tendon lineup. Okay, and it does seem like they're putting a little bit more strain and a little bit more tension, like a taut rubber band would be. And that follows all the way down to, say, where the wrist would be. Okay, so we do have a little bit of an issue of probably some stretching, doing maybe a little bit of some heat pad occasionally or so forth would probably help that out a little bit. But then two, I'm really just leaning here saying like an intake of a magnesium. Okay, sodium breaks down calcium. Magnesium also breaks down calcium. But that sodium is something I'd already seen before that I think we're a little bit low on. Okay, because when I go around some of the ridges of, let's say, our knuckle areas here, okay, and our wrist, a little bit of our elbow, it does look like thin little sheets of concrete. Okay, and that is kind of what I like to call like a buildup of calcium. That's where the body will kind of start layering the calcium on there, which again is telling me we're not having the hammer to go in there and chisel the calcium from square pegs into round pegs. So the body has to find a place to dump it and get rid of it. And since we're already kind of sluggish in the lymphatic system, this is where I believe your body's starting to stick some of its storage. Okay, so the massage and the stretching is one thing. Getting that oxygen level up is definitely is a big one to me. But then two, working on the sodium intake, Regina, is absolutely crucial. I know it sounds so simple, and we always get scared about hearing, sodium and what it does to the heart and everything. But, when we cry, our tears taste salty. When we sweat, our sweat is salty. Sodium is such an important process for our body. It keeps our body sterile, keeps the brain sterile. It feeds our brain. It plays so many different roles. But one of the biggest ones is that it does break down that calcium. So now I know that you've already shared with me here that you're a vegetarian, but have we been monitoring our salt? Like, have we been aware of cutting it back, or are we very cautious of how much we get in, or what's the salt intake like for you on a daily basis?
Yeah, I guess I am a little hyper aware of the salt, and I don't tend to season very much with salt. I'm a little judicious about, a little stingy with the salt.
Okay,
And
that's
I'm using
fantastic.
salt.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just said I'm using sea salt also, not table salt.
Okay, good. Sea salt, absolutely. And what I would really want you to shoot for here, okay, and again, everybody I work with, it is like a fingerprint. I don't always suggest the same thing or the same amount of dosage increase, because when I see the levels in my mind, I try to play this little mad scientist and figure out how much more do we need to add in order to get to that correct imbalance to balance itself back out. I would really want you to get to more of like a half a teaspoon a day, more than what you're doing right now. And I know it seems kind of dinky, like, wow, a half a teaspoon isn't all that much, but a little bit goes a long way. And like I was saying before, getting that exact precision dosage amount of vitamins and minerals and sodium and protein and all these big things that our body requires to run and operate is absolutely crucial. So if we could just bump it up to like a half a teaspoon a day of our sodium intake, whether you put it in your shake, put it over a little bit of salad or the foods that you eat, I think would make a tremendous difference. And probably in combination with getting this oxygen bumped up a little bit into the system and kind of massaging the forearm muscles from the elbow to the wrist there, I truly believe that's going to knock the problem out of the ballpark there for you.
Awesome.
So did those answer your questions too?
Absolutely, Jason. Thank you so much.
You are very, very welcome. In my mind, sometimes it makes perfect sense, and I visualize it perfectly, and I always like to make sure that the other end truly does get what I'm saying and all that stuff, and I'm not leaving you hanging or anything. So I'm glad that it all made sense to you there, Regina. Very good.
No, absolutely. I had someone suggest rolfing for the muscles around those tendons, around the elbow to the wrist, and probably my whole body as far as that's concerned.
Well, getting the sodium up, but let's also not forget protein is really what feeds our muscles and tendons as well, okay? So by just getting in that omega-3, which is a fantastic, fatty acid, that's really how the body absorbs all the vitamins and minerals and proteins and carbohydrates, everything we eat. That's how it really gets enriched into our bloodstream a lot quicker. And let's say instead of only absorbing 60%, by doing that simple little, let's say, pre-trip to the body, that'll have you absorb closer to 85 to 90% of what you're taking in. So by getting that protein count up, that's probably going to be a best way to really treat everything from the inside and really kind of supply and fuel up all those tanks that seem to be getting a little bit on the lower side there.
Sounds good, Jason. Thanks so much.
Regina, it was a pleasure, and thank you very, very much, and I appreciate you taking the time and effort and sitting here and working with me for a little bit here.
Loved it.
And Jason, just a question for you. I know a lot of us probably listening to all this are wondering, well, do I need more vitamin E? Do I need more omega? Should I be doing garlic, grapeseed extract? Do I need to breathe deeper? Talk a bit about how general this is.
Fantastic. Well, I do like to say that when I work with someone, it is more specific to that person's or their body's needs. So just because I would suggest vitamin E for one, or getting in more protein or omega-3, may not be the same case for everybody. Okay. Now, the grapeseed extract is one of those exceptions in my opinion. I do believe that every single person should be taking a grapeseed extract as their kind of daily regime. Not only is it just a phenomenal version of vitamin E, but the antioxidants and the qualities and benefits that we get from it and the support for our immune system, hands down, there's nothing that touches it, in my opinion. Now, the three most important parts to our system of how we run and operate, and they're the basics, and sometimes these are the the most hardest things for us to really nail down and get to a perfection, if you will, and that's food, sleep, and water. So working on those three basics for everybody is always the most important step for one's health and for their future health and preventative measures. So, if we're eating through a drive-through every other day, and we're eating our meals out of cans, that's probably one way to drastically change and start eating, fresh. Start preparing your meals yourself. If we're drinking more coffee than we are water, coffee is a diuretic. That's a pretty easy one that we could pay attention to and say, I'm going to cut that coffee back to 1, and the rest of my fluids for the day are going to be water. And then sleep, of course, that's one of those things that's a lot easier said than done, depending on work schedules and, home life and kids running around the house and so forth. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenged to get that sleep. But, for example, if we're sleeping with a draft, by cutting down that draft alone is going to help that REM stage get to a better place, and our bodies are going to recharge a bit quicker. If it's having a little bit of a lavender scent or having a sound machine. I know this sounds a little personal that I'll share with everybody, but for years I used to sleep with a hair dryer. It sounds really, really odd, but it was the vibration and the warmth that really kind of got my mind to shut off and to go into the most deepest sleep possible. Until my wife said, you know what, that seems like a little bit of a fire hazard, and I'm not getting good sleep. So I've changed that hair dryer habit to an air purifier. So by just addressing those three things, that is more of a great general kind of principle or guidelines to follow. But as far as getting specific, to the proteins and vitamin E's, that really does determine on the body type and how that specific body is running.
Now, in terms of the mind-body connection, I was listening carefully to you and to Regina and hearing her response, and what I was picking up was the fear. And there was the anxiety over the discomfort she was experiencing in her breasts, some anxiety related to the situation in her tendons, and just an overall state of a little bit of anxiety. I don't know, Regina, if you were sensing that, but that what happens when we get frightened is that we don't breathe.
Right.
So it was like I was hearing the fear, and you were talking about the symptom, the shallow breathing. So I'm just going to check in on a belief with you, if you're willing, to work the other part of this process. You willing?
Sure.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no belief at all and 10 being completely true, how true do you feel, not think, but check in your heart with your feelings, this statement to be, who I really am is safe no matter what the situation in my body?
Ooh. 10 is perfectly true.
Right.
5 or 6.
5 or 6. Okay, that's what I thought. So now everybody can ask themselves this question and do this along with her and actually get a shift themselves towards this belief. Because the idea here is if you were to truly believe that who you really are is safe, there would be nothing to fear, right?
Correct.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is, are you using a headset or a speakerphone?
Yes. Can you take it off?
Okay. No, keep it on. I'm going to have you use both of your hands. So to do the bilateral stimulation, I'm going to have you just tap the outside right hand to the outside of your right thigh, and then the outside of your left hand to your left thigh. Right hand to right thigh, left hand to left thigh. Just back and forth, so that it calls attention from the right side of your body to the left side of your body. And you can follow that with your eyes, looking back and forth, and everybody can kind of do this along at the same time. And as you do that, I'd just like you to consider in a really deep way, what is it that stops me from really believing that who I really am is safe, no matter what the circumstance in my body, and share whatever comes up.
I can't relax.
I can't relax. So
Right.
imagine that you are looking at a scrapbook, and on the cover of the scrapbook, and continue to tap side to side, on the cover of that scrapbook it says, I can't relax. And as you open it up, inside there are all the images, all the memories, all the times in which you've been stressed about not being able to relax. And you begin to sort through these, see the images, and let your attention drift back and forth, right to left, right to left. And what you're looking for is whatever memory has the strongest emotional pull, or the very first entry in this scrapbook. And when you come upon it, simply share whatever comes up.
It's more like a feeling than a picture.
Okay, and what's the feeling? What's the memory?
The feeling is being surprised, like letting my guard down and being and feeling, like I let my guard.
Yeah, so I want you to go back through the memory that feeling is coming from. The time in which you were surprised or thrown off by something with your body. The big surprise. That has left you feeling uneasy. And just go back to that and let your attention be called back and forth, side to side. And do you remember what that was?
I fell out of a tree and broke my arm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go back. How old were you?
10.
10? So just let yourself go back to being 10 and falling out of the tree and breaking your arm, and remember what you remember about it and see it in your mind. Feel that sense of surprise coming through your body. Remember the thoughts that you had about it. Remember, if you can, what you started to believe about your body and about being safe in this world as a result of that. And when you're ready, see yourself from the outside. See the little girl with her broken arm. And what do you notice about her as you look at yourself having these feelings and thinking these thoughts?
She's panicking.
Mm-hmm. So as you look at her and she's panicking, she becomes aware of the adult you looking at her. It's as though you've actually gone back through time and you are right there with her in this moment. What do you do? What do you say? What do you tell this little girl?
There are very few things that are not correctable. It would be okay.
Yeah, gonna be okay. And does she believe you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just sit with her and notice how things shift. And as you're there comforting the little one, become aware of a third version of yourself. This is a future you who believes beyond any doubt that who she really is safe no matter what happens. And she just shows up there with you. And what does she do? What does she say?
She says life is all about living and taking chances, and you can't control anything anyway, so have a good time.
Yeah. So she's light and she's sharing that. And how is that for the little one?
She wants to be like that too.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And how's that for the adult you that's watching?
Feeling confident, feeling relaxed.
Mm-hmm. So now just check inside with that idea again. Who I really am is safe, no matter what happens. And on that scale, where 0 is not true at all and 10 is completely true, how true is that for you now?
10.
Okay, very good. Yay. That's the process.
By the way, the third me is wearing a one-piece motorcycle racing suit.
Woohoo! Yeah, so now just, you may notice over the next couple days, just from doing this, a shift in how you're breathing. It's absolutely possible that you'll notice that you're breathing deeper just on your own as a result of this. Just allow that to be a possibility. And if you find yourself with catching your breath, simply remind yourself of the statement again, who I really am is safe, no matter what happens. So you might just go ahead and say it out loud now as though it's a 10 for you.
Who I really am is safe, no matter what happens to me.
Now feel it in every cell of your body, and when you feel it in every cell of your body, say it again.
Who I really am is safe, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody else can feel that as you said it, but that is true. I could feel the truth of that in my body as you said it. Now, this is the key. Begin to know this idea to be true the same way that you know that fire is hot, that ice is cold, that water is wet, and that, of course, who you really are is safe no matter what happens. Just let that sink in. And then the last piece is to treat this new belief the same way you treat those truths, which is you simply take it for granted, because you don't go around every day saying, fire is hot, ice is cold. It's like when you know something to be true, once you've experienced it the way you've just experienced it, you never forget.
Right.
Yeah. So how is that for you?
That's good. It made me smile.
Yay! All right. Well, I know that everybody's got questions here. And Regina, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being such a willing volunteer and a great volunteer. And it's great to hear your voice again. We haven't talked in a while. So thank you, Regina. And we're nearing the top of the hour. And we will stick around and answer some questions and maybe even do some more work for folks that want to stick around and hear us. But as we promised, we wanted to give you a special offer before we reach the top of the hour for those of you that can't stick around longer. The special offer is for the next day until midnight tomorrow, we are offering sessions with both of us over the phone for a savings of $200. So if you book both of us, you will save $200. And to book both of us, what you'll do is visit each of our websites. Mine is transbreakers.com. And on my website, you can actually book a session directly. And when you go to book, look for the Reveal and Heal special session. And that's what you want to click on. And then when you've booked that, go ahead and go to Jason's website, which is titansgate.net, titansgate.net. And just simply send a request there for a session and indicate that you've also booked with me, and you will receive the discount. Now, for those of you that are in Sedona or visiting Sedona or want to come visit Sedona, we're also offering an in-person package where you can see both of us and save $400 off the sessions. So again, you'll want to visit transbreakers.com, titansgate.net before midnight tomorrow to take advantage of that offer. And we'd also like to announce our Revealing and Healing live event here in Sedona at the Sedona Creative Life Center, Friday, August 24th at 7 p.m. Admission is just $7 at the door. Come early to make sure you get a seat. There's more about this event on both of our websites. We're going to do what we did tonight, plus a little more. It'll be a fun and exciting evening. And now let's just go ahead and open up the call for questions. If you've got a question for Jason or a question for me, go ahead and hit the number 1 on your phone, and we will call on you. And as we wait for people to formulate their questions, Jason, anything you'd like to add about our events?
Well, just to say that was fantastic, Rick. And of course, my wife has had a session with you, and a few other family members have. The work you do is absolutely fantastic, and that's why I'm so excited to kind of join this duo here that we're doing. That a lot of the emotional issues do form themselves into physical issues. So I just find it to be such an amazing and a great opportunity to really kind of get a peek into the body, and then also try to get a little bit of closure and some healing, if you will, on some of those emotional issues that could have provoked some of the physical issues that we see in there. So I just wanted to thank you for all of your work there, Rick, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing the revealing and healing.
All right. Yes. Well, we've got some hands up, so let's go ahead and take some questions. Let's start with Mark. Mark, you're on the air. What's your question for us?
Hi, Rick.
Oh, this isn't Mark.
No, it's Christina, but remember we had to switch numbers when I signed on for the call?
Yes. Correct.
I also signed up a friend, so I apologize for that.
It's okay.
So, yeah, Christina. So first I want to tell you that I had a really powerful experience while you were just working with Ranjita, when you were taking her through that process of moving her eyes back and forth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I can email you about that some other time, but wow, I had this really powerful experience. So thank you for taking us through that.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you see. That's the exciting thing about doing this work in a public way, is that when we help one person, the potential is for everybody to have a little shift out there. So
yeah.
Wow.
I shifted.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Do you have a question for either of us? Well, I've got you.
Actually, just very quickly for Jason, who I wanted to say I've met before at a social gathering, and I just wanted to say that he was one of the most down-to-earth people I have ever met in my life, and I was so impressed by how much heart-centered he was about what he does and how he helps people. I was just thought, oh my gosh, this is such a real person, not fake and not trying to be somebody he's not. He's just a real person, very down to earth and very heart-centered and full of heart. So I just wanted to say that for the people that might be wondering if they want to set up a session with him or the two of you together or something. He's the real deal. He really is a wonderful person.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is fantastic.
No problem. And so with that kind of trust that I have just from meeting you and connecting with you in a social way, I just want to ask you very briefly if you can give me some input on my lower left ovary area.
Okay.
That would mean a lot to me. It's something that's gone on for 5 years, off and on maybe more. And I just keep not having it looked at by a doctor. I've had it looked at by a doctor twice, off and on, and they always say they don't see anything.
Right.
But yet I always have pain. So
absolutely.
I realize there's an emotional aspect that could be going with it, which I've been trying to work through with the MDR and my own meditation and stuff. But I think I'm at a point now where I just really want a better view physically. Like if I really need to be concerned that something's going on there physically, I need to look into.
Absolutely. That'd be my pleasure. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me dial your body's phone number up here really quick, and then I'll take a peek at that left ovary real quick for you, okay?
Okay, thank you. And that would be my left. I don't know if that matters.
Correct. No, absolutely. I get you. Okay. Through here. Do you see some, what looks like to me, a little bit of inflammation and irritation here? But let me kind of trail it back a little bit because it seems like we're missing some form of a spark or a connection here, and that's why it's getting a little bit fussy on us. So let me go back up a little bit because it does seem to follow a trail through our adrenals and up to the pituitary. The adrenals are one of many hormone factories, is what I like to call. And I'm seeing a hormone imbalance here. When's the last time you had your hormones tested?
I used to get them tested every few months, and they would put me on the bioidenticals and stuff, and they would seem to work for a couple of months, but then they wouldn't work anymore. And we would try a different, dosage and work for a couple of months, and then it wouldn't work anymore. But I will, since you've already mentioned it, I will say I have had weak adrenals since I was 14, and I didn't realize it until I was about a year and a half to 2 years ago. So I worked really hard on rebuilding the adrenals, but I still go through bouts of times where the adrenals are just get wore out.
Absolutely, and that definitely would make a little bit of sense of why when we are on a bioidentical or any type of a hormone support, basically what that does is go in there and tries to help take some of the load off of those adrenals, which are the production factories. And so it'll do good for a little bit because the adrenals say, I'm getting a little bit of help here, a little bit of relief. And then they kind of get frustrated with themselves, if you will, because these are functions and kind of the production activity should be kept up to a specific place. Now, to go back, our adrenals is what I would like to refer to as our emotional punching bags, okay? Mm-hmm. So just going back here a little bit is that no matter what kind of stress, whether it's with family, relationships, friendships, traffic on the way to work, boss, work environment, you name it, when we deal with stresses, okay, and our emotional body takes a toll, the adrenals are one of the first things to really take a hit, okay? And by you saying that you really recognize this at the age of 14 here, does make me kind of wonder, was there some family issues going on? I mean, was there a specific thing that you really picked up on that you noticed maybe was more prominent around that time?
Yeah, probably a lot of mental and emotional and occasional physical abuse from one of my parents.
Well, and that would definitely kind of do it here. Now, for my suggestion is, of course, I believe that you should keep kind of putting the air mask on your adrenals, okay? And for everyone that doesn't know, our adrenals, the little glands sit on top of each of our kidneys, okay? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, if we kind of nurture and kind of take care of our kidneys a little bit, that does kind of help reflect or kind of get chinked down the line and helping address the adrenals. Now, the adrenals are very tough, what I like to say, the tough cookies to crumble, okay? Because of all the work I've ever done with adrenals, actually the only real pill form or supplement form of an adrenal support needs to be more of at a dried adrenal gland. They like to feed off of themselves, okay? So knowing that you would have to get a prescription for that, that's probably something that, I think maybe is not too bad of an idea to maybe consider or look into. But really the second part is working on kind of the emotional body and putting the air mask on ourselves. And that's always I like to reference, like we're on an airplane and the flight attendant says, put the air mask on yourself first before you put the air mask on everybody else. Okay? And a lot of times when I see someone's adrenals get geared down a little bit slower and have a little bit difficulty in their production, generally it comes from someone that does like to take care of everybody else. And sometimes they kind of put themselves on the back burner, and then when everybody else is taken care of, then they want to start taking care of themselves because they feel like everybody else is already fed and had their needs met. But on more of the physical level here, to me, the progesterone just is not at the right place, okay? And your estrogens just seem to be kind of, none of them are really stable. We've got two estrogens that seem to really drop down quite low, and then we've got another one that just seems to be shooting really high, and the testosterone doesn't seem like it's in a happy place, okay? So I truly believe here that the testosterone has to stem a little bit from the pituitary, because the pituitary gland basically can send out the signal for that testosterone production, okay? But that progesterone is the one that I follow, and I look at your body and your system, and it looks like little highways, okay, that kind of will feed down to the ovaries, if you will, and specifically on your left ovary. It's the progesterone little highway there that I feel just is really ruling the discomfort or the inflammation and irritation of that ovary, okay? Now, of the bioidenticals that they put you on, do you mind sharing which ones they had you on? Was it an estrogen, a progesterone? What did they get you on?
I do remember this much, that my body converts. I know I had to take DIM because my body converts one hormone into another.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's been a couple of years since I took them because it just seemed like they ended up not working for me. But I knew I had to take them because my body just automatically makes one hormone. Like if I take the hormone, it changes it into the other hormone, and then I get too much. I'm sorry, does that make sense?
No, it does, and I'm willing to bet that your body converts the progesterone into the estrogen. Is what I would have to say really makes the most sense to me, just looking at how your system works here a little bit. Now, I think maybe more of a plant derivative hormone is probably what I would lean towards a little bit more. I just think your body would adapt to it just maybe just a little bit better there. But supporting those adrenals, I think, is really kind of the first step, because it's all about getting to the root cause, not band-aiding symptoms. It does neither of us any good if we all of a sudden the pain and the area disappears, but yet we really haven't addressed what was making that irritable or inflamed to begin with, if you see what I'm saying. So kind of addressing...
I take Amla C, 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules in the afternoon. I take disassociated adrenal, 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules in the afternoon. Sea salt, because I know sea salt, the adrenals will feed on sea salt, so I ingest sea salt every day. So those things in general seem to keep me going unless I get too much of a stress situation, or unless it's a certain time of the month, or but I do try to feed my adrenals every single day.
Okay. And, papaya is one of those things that when I kind of look at hormone production, I always try to look at what some of the easy, maybe organic things that we can do ourselves to help ease production or help kind of give the body a little bit of that hand up. And the papaya, for some reason, really does. I don't know if it's the enzyme of the sugar quality or what, but it really, to me, seems like that is a very beneficial supporting cast member for your adrenals. And of course, drinking plenty of water is always a good thing. But I have a strong feeling here that a lot of, let's say, some of the issues that were revolving around your upbringing, which you shared with us, which are obviously traumatic. That's, to me, where I believe we held a lot of our a lot of our stress and let those adrenals really get kind of beat up on. And we didn't, obviously, you didn't really have a choice, you know. If we could say, well, let's let it affect my big toe, I'm sure there's other places we would rather that affect, but I believe your adrenals and hormone production happen to be one of the bigger affected areas from that.
Okay.
And I think that's where, you know, Brick's work is truly phenomenal. It kind of gets to those emotional issues, and then, you know, kind of balancing out those hormones is really, on the physical side, truly where I believe can kind of help address that root cause of those root issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I can tell you that you're definitely energetically getting through, because my ovary is on fire right now.
Okay, absolutely.
It's like, oh my God, what's going on? I can see all the stuff.
Jumping up and down and waving its hands at you.
Oh yeah, very, very appreciated, and thank you for letting me know that it doesn't at this point seem tumorous.
Well,
and
I
think that's
thing
what
is,
you're saying anyway.
Exactly, and you know, one of the biggest things I'd like to share with you that down the road, okay, and I believe this is true with a lot of cases, is that anytime we were able to maybe develop a cyst or a polyp or anything that is, let's say, a foreign object, okay, whether it's in the uterus, on the ovary, you name it, a lot of times the medical field and others really want to go in there and just yank it out, cut it out, let's do a full hysterectomy, and, you know, I think kind of we get to real drastic steps. And in my experience and in my opinion, really balancing out and getting those hormones corrected is really the right way to kind of go about that. So instead of kind of cutting the head off the angry dragon, if you will, it's more about kind of rubbing that dragon's belly and feeding it some comfort food and allowing that dragon to kind of settle back down in a sense. So, and that's just where, I mean, I truly feel like if we could nail down those progesterones, I truly believe that's probably on the physical side of the body really the right way to help kind of take care of that little inflammation and irritation that I see there.
Okay. So supplementing with or getting some kind of natural progesterone.
I really would, like more of a plant derivative progesterone. And then, you know, of course, probably at another time, because I don't want to, you know, put out brands and so forth out there, but, you know, I do have a few that I would love to kind of share with you and tell you about that are purely derived from plants and so forth that I believe your body would adapt to and really produce and transition that progesterone instead of it kind of transforming itself and actually producing it into more of an estrogen. And that is a pretty big difference right there of nailing down exactly what the body will require and feed off of and do its best work with.
That would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Because that's been going on for about 5 years, and you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I'm doing everything that I can. I don't know what else to do.
Absolutely. And, you know, the body, it's an amazing machine, and it's also a very highly fine-tuned machine. And sometimes it takes just little adjustments, little tweaks here and there that makes the biggest difference, and it's not always the over-the-top drastic kind of procedures or encouragements that others offer that sometimes you go, wow, that's a little bit above and beyond what I think the body really does need. And sometimes just fine-tuning and tweaking specific areas, like getting in the right progesterone for your system, truly is what is needed.
Yeah, well, thank you. I will email your website or email your wife and just ask for the recommendations that you have that you're willing to share with me.
Perfect.
Please do, and I will more than happily kind of give you some ones that I've used and feel really good about. And it would be great for you to kind of explore there and, of course, kind of go forward with it and get those hormones tested again as you do usually, and I'm pretty confident you'll see a bit of a difference there.
That would be great. Thank you so much for your time, both of you. Thank you so much for everything you're doing on this call. I know you're helping a lot of people.
Out of curiosity, did you score yourself on that belief, I am safe no matter what happens? Who I really am is safe?
Yeah, so like I started out with a 2.
Uh-huh. And where'd you end up?
I ended up getting to an 8.
Okay.
And I know it'd be best if I got to a 10, but getting from a 2 to an 8 was pretty good. But the process getting there, I mean, I was weeping. My body was shaking. I was really having a full memory experience that came to me. So in the time that you took her through that, I was able to get myself through an 8, and I felt like that was even pretty powerful.
Well, and that's the goal, is to get anything over a 7, and you'll find over the next few days it begins to shift on its own, that belief will grow stronger and stronger. Once you're at 70% in believing something, you talk yourself through the remaining process. So allow that to happen, and that's going to be a huge shift in the adrenals too. I mean, again, your adrenals get stimulated. That's the fight or flight response, and that's the fear, and that's the stress. And then another belief to look at is, I deserve to put my needs first, or it's okay to be a little selfish in order for me to be selfless.
Well, I had to laugh when Jason said that about we tend to put other people first, because I have a business partner who's a personal assistant. So I'm doing everything for everybody else all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he hit the nail with that, and he didn't know that about me when we met. And that's been a history for me, like from age 12 through my teen years, being the oldest and taking care of everybody in the family. When my mother had to work and all of that, and then having a baby at early 20s and taking care of my baby and my husband, and having daycare and having 6 kids every day and daycare, and it just goes on and on. I look back now and I go, oh my God! I mean, that's just been my role, caretaker of everyone else first.
So
and
you were
to a point of, hey, me.
Yeah, you were putting the air masks on everybody else.
I couldn't wait.
And that's easy to do. That is easy to do.
So in that 0 to 10, how strong is your belief that I deserve to put my needs first?
3.
Okay. That's the healing work.
It's higher than that, but that's the reality, like a 3.
Well, would you like to work on it right now?
We'll
see if we can shift it. Okay, then let's do the tapping again.
Myself.
Just like we did before, tap side to side, and everybody can do this along with her. We all probably hold a little bit of this. There are very few people that are fully a 10 in this area. So, tap back and forth, side to side, follow with your eyes, back and forth. And as you do this, ask yourself in a really deep way, what is it that stops me from really believing that I deserve to put my needs first? And just share whatever comes up, wherever you go with that.
First thing that comes is just, it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable to do that.
Yeah, it's just not acceptable. So imagine that scrapbook, and it says on the cover, it's not acceptable to put your needs first. And inside are all the times in which you've sacrificed yourself for somebody else, that you've said it's just not acceptable, all the way back to the very first time. And in there are also all the times in which others have told you that that is so, and in which you watched others sacrifice themselves and not put their needs first. And of all the times in that scrapbook that you're aware of, that you're looking at, as your attention's going back and forth, side to side, go to whatever one has the strongest emotional pull for you. And share what you're willing to share on a public call about what's coming up.
I'm not initially getting a specific time, but I can tell you that my ovary is screaming. I'm so much in my ovary right now, and I just somehow, I don't have a specific one time, but an overall memory of maybe many times of my mother pointing her finger at me, being angry with me, and her face in my face.
Yeah,
and
so go right to that.
letting me know it's not acceptable.
Right.
Something
So
is not acceptable.
see that really clear in your mind.
Pardon?
See that really clear in your mind. Her finger in your face, the tone of her voice, it's not acceptable. And just let yourself go to one of those potential times, and we're not after accuracy here. It can be a conglomeration, several memories overlapping, but just take a guess as to how old you are as you're experiencing this.
13.
So feel what it's like as she's saying that and waving her finger. Feel that feeling inside. Think of the thoughts that are going through your head.
I like her physically getting out from under me.
Yeah. And notice the beliefs that you're picking up from this whole experience. And when you're ready, look at yourself from the outside. And what do you notice about yourself? Yeah. And just focus in, and as you're looking at that 13-year-old, she becomes aware of you. It's as though you've gone back through time and you're right there with her. And what would you say? What would you do for her?
You put my arm around her and say, "Don't listen to your mother."
Yeah, don't listen to your mother. And does she believe you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I don't know that she 100% believes, but she kind of sees the irony in the humor.
Yeah. So she sees the irony. And as she's doing that, and as you're watching this and you're doing this, you become aware of that third version of you. And this one knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that she deserves to put her needs first. She absolutely believes that in order to be selfless and giving, she has to take care of herself. Her needs must be met. And she's there.
Like I'm going to throw up. I feel like that was so foreign for me to take in that it physically makes me ill, and I just throw up. Even
Wow. So just notice that as well. And what would that future you say or do as she's noticing you having these feelings coming up?
I have to say honestly, I just feel a little lost. Almost like nobody knows what to do. And I know that's not true. You're just telling me that there just seems like I'm so lost for every aspect of me. Nobody knows what to do.
But nobody knows what to do. So just allow and really use your imagination here to imagine this enlightened version of yourself from whatever future you need. That part that is all loving, all knowing, this part of you that has it down. You can just simply imagine what she must be like, putting her own needs first, who absolutely never believed a thing that her mother said in regards to this. What is she like? What does she do?
They just bow out.
What has she done?
Like just leave the situation. Like, that situation is just like gets me out of there.
So let's shift this a moment and imagine that the little girl, that the 13-year-old, pulls out a photograph of her mother shaking her finger. And that future you sprinkles some magic dust on that photograph. And the woman in the photo begins to grow younger and younger. And there's a teenage version of her. And then there's a girl. And then there's just a little girl. A little girl. Your mother is a little girl. What do you notice about her?
She doesn't feel safe and she feels overwhelmed.
Yeah. So notice, what is she really missing? What isn't she getting as a child?
Love and attention.
Right. So imagine into the scene come two enlightened beings to be her parents. They may look like her parents, they may not, but they are enlightened. And they begin filling her with love and attention. They love everything about this little one. They love the way she smiles. They love her laugh, her sense of humor. But they also love her unconditionally. So they love her when she's angry, when she throws a little temper tantrum. They actually find it adorable. When she's sad, they're even more loving. That there's nothing that she can do to not receive the complete love of these beings, and she is raised in that way. And the mother in this family always puts her needs first, always takes care of her, and as a result, she always has this love and attention that she's able to give to the little one. And that little girl sees what that's like, sees how mommy takes care of herself, gets enough sleep, eats the right foods, does what it takes to take care of her so that she can really take care of her kids. That she actually has the time and the attention to be totally present. And there's no resentment. Notice what that's like. There's nothing but love. Because her needs are all being met. And how is that little girl different?
My little girl or her little girl?
Her little girl. Your mother is a little girl. How is she different, getting all that love, all that attention, and all that teaching about how to take care of yourself?
Happy and carefree.
Yeah. So imagine her growing up with that, your mother, getting all that attention and those lessons just reinforced about how to take care of oneself and how good that is and how important it is to be a little bit selfish there in order to really give. And the difference, she can really feel it because she gets so much from her mother when her mother takes care of herself, and she really gets that. And notice her becoming a teenager and making some different choices, and then becoming a young woman making different choices, and somehow she ends up with your father, but perhaps it's a different version of your father. And she has children, and she is your mother. And it's around that time that you're 13. And how is she different as a mother? This version, the one that grew up with all the love and attention that she needed, the one that grew up watching a mother take care of her own needs in order to really be there for her. How is she different?
She's very lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Happy and lovely.
And what would that mother want you to know?
She would just want me to know that I was valued and important and cared about.
Right. You are valued, you are important, you are cared about. And what would she tell you about taking care of yourself first?
That was important.
Yeah, you're important. So just imagine for a moment that this mother is able to teach you everything that your mother couldn't about all of this, and really share how important you are and how valuable you are and how deserving you are and how important it is that your needs be met so that you can help others, truly help them without any resentment. Just take all that in and allow it. And when that feels complete, just let me know and keep tapping side to side.
Okay.
All right. Now just take a few deep breaths and come back to that idea. I deserve to put my needs first, and see how true that is for you now.
Like, wow.
Wow.
Like I feel giddy about it. Like, oh, let me get into that. That's awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah.
How can I do that? That's awesome. Yay, let's go.
Yeah. So now just embody it. Feel it in every cell of your body as though it's completely true. And when you feel it, say it out loud.
Perfectly okay to take care of myself first.
Yes. Now know that to be true. That same way you know fire is hot, you know ice is cold, you know water's wet, and it is perfectly okay to take care of yourself first. Just know it and take it and treat it the way you treat those other beliefs. Simply take it for granted and begin noticing over the next few days, next few weeks, how your life is different and what you do differently.
Well, I can tell you this right now, the pain in my ovary is gone.
There you go. Congratulations.
So that's interesting. And also I would share that when you said, you know, it's okay to take care of yourself first. What's interesting is I turned that around in my mind as a kid. Well, I didn't really turn it around, but my mother always was first. She always put herself first in a way that other people didn't. People in the family didn't get their needs met. So to me, it was very, very, very bad to put your needs first because bad things were going to happen and people weren't going to get what they need and people were going to suffer and it's going to be your fault and you're not going to be responsible enough and you're going to let things slide. And so I just went along going, okay, if I put myself first, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a mess. So that was really good how you helped me reframe that because I see that that's what I've been thinking for so many years. It's why I think it's not okay to do that because when my mother did that, a lot of people got hurt.
Right. But it didn't have to do with her putting her needs first. It had to do with her not putting anyone else's needs second.
Right. Well, that's true.
Okay. And that was the child saw it and went, oh, you're not supposed to put your needs first, rather than, oh, you're supposed to put everybody else's needs second there. You know, my needs are important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, very powerful. Thank you to
You're
both
welcome.
of you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I hope I've done a good participant. I thank you so much. Oh gosh, I can't thank you enough. I can't.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now,
yes,
Jason,
thank you for sharing.
We've got a couple other people with hands up. How are you doing on time and lightness where you're at? I know you're out on a hike.
Yeah, the sun's going down a little bit, but I've got a little bit more time here.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and call on Now, I've got 2 Candies on the list here, so Candy may have shared her her registration with somebody else too. So is this I've opened up a mic for someone whose name is Candy. Do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yay.
Hi, Candy.
Hi. Hello, I have a question for Jason, and it's on the same subject, the adrenals, as the prior lady that was on the phone.
Okay.
I have had a lot of stress and recently had my adrenal and hormones tested and am on bioidentical hormones and cortisol right now. And I feel like it's working, but I'd like some confirmation on that.
Okay, so you just want me to take a little progress check of...
My adrenal glands were flatlined.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So you just want me to take a gander of kind of where they're at right now, and if what you're doing is actually going in the right direction, I assume.
I believe so.
Okay, 2 seconds here. Let me dial your body's phone number up really quick. Okay. Take a gander at our adrenals there real quick here. Okay, they're definitely grinding down on a pretty slow level here. So if we were supposed to be in 5th gear, okay, your adrenals are, let's say, in 1st gear, okay? So the good news that I do see here that I'd like to share with you, though, is that they are being stimulated, okay? So I would feel pretty confident with saying that the cortisol is actually doing its job there. But if you don't mind, I would like to kind of share with you a little bit on what I'm seeing kind of a little deficiency here that is linked somewhat, and that would definitely be the vitamin D as in dog. Okay, and more specifically, I would want to kind of focus a little bit more on, let's say, the D3. Okay, there's a lot of Ds out there, but that D3 is really the one that I want to focus on. Vitamin D gets a great rep for bone support, and it is absolutely fantastic. But that vitamin D is also a very powerful enzyme for your immune system to go fight off, let's say, viruses or bacteria or infections that withhold in the body. So that's kind of its second job or second little super productivity that it does. And then the third thing is that, and this is where I'm going to kind of be a little bit more specific with your system, but your adrenals really seem to feed from a form of a vitamin D. Okay, so I would really think that kind of getting our vitamin D in a correct dosage amount, an IU or a milligram, is truly important to kind of go along with what you're doing right now. And then secondly here, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I just started 5,000 units of vitamin D3.
You just started. Okay, fantastic. I would definitely continue that regime without a doubt, okay, because that's a big missing link within your system here. That once we get it kind of built up there a little bit, I think it's going to start doing wonders for us there a little bit. And then the funny part about the adrenals is of all the supplements and food and everything that we can eat, and of course this is going to be a lot easier said than done, but doing things for ourselves. So if you can imagine, if stress is what beats up the adrenals, bringing in joy and laughter and happiness is what helps support our adrenals, okay? That's what helps give life to our adrenals. So if let's say, for example, if you love to dance or to fish or to paint or to play music, those are all fantastic things we can do ourselves to help boost our adrenals and help give that support of the adrenals. And the example I always like to use for myself to help support my adrenals is that I listen to a little bit of Hall & Oates. Okay, some people laugh at me and they think, oh my gosh, of all the things I can envision you listening to, that's kind of odd. But when I listen to certain Hall & Oates songs, I get chills up my spine and all of a sudden get a little spark of joy and I feel like dancing. I'm like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good right now. And that really does kind of give this shot of natural body chemistry steroid to those adrenals. And it kind of helps give them a little bit of a kickstart. Okay, and even though we can't do those.
Excuse me, that's amazing that you said that because I've put my music and my painting on the back burner.
You have, okay. Well, and that I can promise you is going to do 10 times more than what any supplement, medication, prescription anyone can write for me. If you get back to that and you get, even if it was twice a week, 3 times a week, you just get it in there. That's actually going to help cortisol and anything, the vitamin D, everything else you're doing is going to help benefit and help supplement what those are trying to do within your system. So, again, I know it's, sometimes it's a little hard to, let's say, paint on a daily basis or play music on a daily basis, but getting that more into the daily regime is absolutely fantastic. But stick with that vitamin D, okay? That is, 5,000 is what I would really have leaned for, okay? I mean, to be all honesty, I was probably thinking about 5,500, maybe 6,000, but 5,000 is going to be just perfect. So sticking with that is definitely good. As far as the cortisol goes, I would obviously go along with how they've got you planned on that one too. A lot of times that can do a little bit of damage in the kidneys, but I don't see that affecting you negatively whatsoever. So it seems like your body is adapting quite well with it. And then I do have a quick question for you here, and I know this may sound a little personal, a little bit odd, but just kind of going through your system here, were you on a birth control in an earlier stage of your life?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Because when I watch certain areas, and especially, let's say, the right adrenal gland, okay, it does seem like it's had some kind of a mutation or some form of a stunt of its development or its process, okay? And a lot of times, birth control does do that. And also, kind of my belief system here is that immunizations also can sometimes play a role in that as well. I tend to lean a little bit more looking at your system that it follows along the lines of what kind of, let's say, the after effects are kind of what's left behind from birth control. So it's not that it's a horrible thing or you can't rebuild it or ever get it back, but I do believe that that's probably a trigger or a starting point for those adrenals to kind of stick themselves into that first gear. And of course, stress is, I can't think of a bigger bomb to drop on your adrenals other than stress there. So, and of course, like I was saying with the last caller there, putting the air mask on yourself is so important. And this doesn't mean, as we know, ignoring everybody else and just being selfish, but it means that before we do meet others' needs and we give handouts to people, I like to call them giving them hand-ups, okay? So when you give a hand up, you're helping those, but you're not giving all of yourself away with it, okay? And putting on that air mask is truly, for your case, getting back to your music. Painting, those are the things that you can't get a prescription for, but it does so much for the body that if you're kind of looking outside of the bubble, you go, man, why didn't I get on that earlier? You know what I mean?
Correct.
So that's kind of my insight and 2 cents there.
Thank you, Jason. And Rick, I had a question for you.
Yes.
I have 6 children, and there is one daughter that has recently caused a lot of distress. And I have been starting to take care of myself since I found out about my adrenals, and going to different ways of spiritually taking care of myself through the chakras and so forth. I am also a Reiki master. In fact, I believe you know my sister Ani.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. And so I was just wondering if you could give me any advice about that daughter and how to deal with her.
Tell me just a bit more about what's going on with her. Your phone cut out on my end just a little bit.
Okay. She's got a lot of anger issues. I believe she's projecting her unhealthy lifestyle towards me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the tools that you can use to shift the anger in her is by releasing the reflection of that anger as it shows up in you. And there's a wonderful technique. Are you familiar with emotional freedom techniques? EFT? So I can do a quick EFT lesson for everybody here. And are you feeling any anger right now as you think about her, or what is the strongest feeling that comes up when you think about your angry daughter?
I actually feel pity for her.
Uh-huh. Okay. And where 0 is no pity and 10 is the strongest, you're feeling this pity feeling for her. About how strong is that?
It's about a 3 because I realize that she basically deserves to be where she's at.
Okay. And do you have any anger over her being angry?
No, I don't. I've let go of all that.
Okay. So we'll work on just releasing the last of the pity, and you can also do this tapping for her on her anger. And if you do this, even you can do it in her presence, or you can do it without her being present, and it will have an impact on her, especially when you know that she's angry, because we do share energetically the negative emotions have an energetic charge, and they're reflected and bounce off each other all the time. And if everybody does this together, we'll create a shift. But we're going to do it. Each of you listening on the call, you can find an emotion in you that you'd like to shift past. In this case, we're just going to eliminate the pity, bring it completely down so that you're at neutral, so that you can just simply sit in a place of neutral with her without any pity or anything that could possibly be felt in a negative way at all. So begin by tapping with all your fingers on the side of your hand, and you can use either hand to either hand. It doesn't matter which. And this is called the karate chop point. So you're going to tap on the place between the end of the wrist and the start of the pinky, that fleshy part of the hand. And as you tap there, we do a setup statement, and that statement says, even though I'm feeling, and everyone can say this to themselves and put in the word as to whatever they're feeling, but you would say, even though I'm feeling pity, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And go ahead and say that out loud.
Okay. Even though I'm feeling pity, I deeply love and accept myself.
And we do this 3 times, and the reason for this is to give yourself complete permission to feel all the feelings that you're feeling about your daughter, okay? That it's safe to have all the feelings while we're doing this. And the more you can get into them, the better. So go ahead and say it again.
Even though I'm feeling pity, I deeply love and respect myself.
And that's great. And one more time.
Even though I'm feeling pity, I deeply love and respect myself.
Now take 2 fingers, place the fingers on your eyebrow, and move them against the grain of your eyebrow towards your nose till you get to the end of the eyebrow, and just tap there lightly and let yourself really feel those feelings of pity or whatever feelings are there about your daughter and her anger. And just tap. And then go to the other end of the eyebrow and tap, and that's your temple. So we're all tapping on our temple and really feeling that feeling, whatever that feeling is. And then come down under the eye. And as you tap under the eye, feel all the feelings that are there. It may have started as pity. There may be something else. So what's coming up? What are you feeling, Candy?
I'm feeling carefree.
Ah! So the pity is already all gone.
It is.
Okay, so we'll just tap in this carefree feeling. Now come under the nose, feeling carefree. And you can just extend that carefree feeling towards your daughter. And just allow yourself to be okay. That it's okay for your daughter to be angry. She can have whatever feeling she's going to have. And just checking, is there any resistance to that notion of her, that it being okay for her to have whatever feeling she has? And then come down and tap on your chin. Do you have any resistance to that idea?
No.
Good. So just allow that. Allow it to be okay for her to feel anger. And it's like it might even be good for her to feel anger.
Yeah.
And for her to be angry. Just releasing that whole notion that there's something wrong with her being angry. And come down to the collarbone. And as you tap on the collarbone, just feel that there's nothing wrong. That it's an interesting choice. It's a valid experience. We're all entitled to our feelings. And maybe the more you just allow her to have her anger, the quicker that anger can come out of her. And then right there in the center of your chest, on the breastbone, tap there and just feel whatever you're feeling. Even the carefree, it's okay. She can have her feelings. Everything's going to be fine. They're just feelings. And then come under the arm. And this point under the arm is directly across from the nipple, under the arm, on your ribs. And you can just feel any feelings. And sometimes we hold fear in this spot, so this is a good place. If you're feeling frightened about anything, this is a great way to release the feeling of fear. And then just take a deep breath in and out. And what do you notice?
Relief.
Relief, yeah.
Calmness.
Mm-hmm. So you may share this technique with her. You can tap for her without her ever knowing that you're doing this. But notice that when you go to do it, there's a reason that you're doing it, which might be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with her being angry. And that's what to tap on for you. If there's any resistance that you have to her anger, release it, let it go. And that way, in essence, you're creating a safe place for her to just experience that. And the more we give permission for someone to just have that feeling and stay in that place, the quicker it actually moves through them.
And thank you and Jason very much this evening. It's helped quite a bit.
Welcome. You're welcome. And that was the last hand that was up. So thank you very much, Candy, for being willing to share.
Yes.
And open.
Thank you, Candy, very much. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you, Jason. It was very nice to meet you, too. And you also, Rick.
It is a pleasure to have you on the call and be open and willing to share. And wow, what a great call. And thank you. We started the call with, there were 47 people registered. We're now down to 8 people who stayed this late into the call. Thank you for staying. We appreciate your energy here, holding this sacred space for the work that we have done here. And it is my belief that when one heals, everybody heals. And when something is revealed for one, we all do. We all do a little scan and check inside and see what is right for us from all the advice that he has shared. It's like you can check and feel inside and know in some sense whether, I need more vitamin D too, or no, my vitamin D is probably okay. Very interesting how that works, and it's been great to have such great questions and such great volunteers, and I so appreciate everybody's courage and willingness to step forward and let us dive into areas that might have been uncomfortable to share on a call. And I'm just so thankful for that, because I know when you're willing to go to those places in a public way, it can be deeply healing for you and for so many more people. You have no idea how many people will end up hearing this call at some point and what changes might result in their life. So we really appreciate all your support. We look forward to seeing those of you that are here in Sedona at Revealing and Healing and having a chance to meet you firsthand. And we really look forward to working with all of you that are drawn to do this one-on-one, doing this reveal and heal work. It really is powerful, and I hope that tonight you've seen and experienced and felt the benefit that this might have for you. Jason?
I would just like to thank everybody as well. Everybody that was a volunteer and had questions. It was absolutely fantastic, and everyone that is holding the space and chose to listen tonight. I just appreciate everyone's curiosity and intrigue, and hopefully we're able to meet a lot of you in person on our event on the 24th. And I wanted to say thank you to you as well, Rick, for holding this great space, and this has been absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you, Jason, and as a thank you to you, and knowing how much you like them, I've queued up some Hall & Oates. So we'll go out.
Right. I love it.
So we'll end the call with this. Thank you very much, everybody. See you again soon.
Good night. Good night, everybody.